Welcome to the Pixel Judge case closed for Star Wars Battlefront. I am Wiskosk, otherwise known as Jay, and with me is Stuntman, otherwise known as Simon.
Hi.
And Kyle, otherwise known as Zetherly.
Hello.
So this game has had very mixed opinions, not just from us, but from all over. What do you guys think of it overall?
It's not bad. I mean, it's not terrible, but I think it's insulting to have to be expected to pay $60 for it. Plus another $50, God forbid, if you want the season pass.
Yeah, I think the pricing is just ridiculous. The way they put it out, it's insane. But,
It's a fun game.
yeah, it has, the core of being a great game. Like, especially when you start in the tutorials, it looks so cinematic. I know everybody hates this word, but you'd think it would be a perfect single-player game with a good tacked-on multiplayer.
It really would.
Now it's the other way around.
Those tutorials are my favourite part of the game. Those 7 missions, in the single-player / co-op menu. Those single-player 6-minute chunks of gameplay are brilliant.
And the fact that you can play it in co-op makes it just that much better.
Do you think they were reaching for more single-player content when they shoehorned in the co-op for the tutorial missions? I kind of feel like they were just trying to cram in some more co-op.
You mean the other way around? They kind of made the package of multiplayer only and decided it's probably not enough for the price and we need to shoehorn something else? I think that's the case of what happened. The management said, no, we need more, because Battlefields had co-op as well. 3 Battlefield. Actually, does Battlefield 4 have?
Battlefield 4 does not have co-op missions, but Battlefield 3 did, which is it was a good touch for the game.
Some of those missions were quite good.
Oh yeah, the missions were great.
They were very basic, and same thing in here. It doesn't feel like a properly designed co-op missions. It feels like something done quite quickly without putting in too much thought or effort. I mean, a fair amount of the effort went in there, but not too much.
That's it. What's actually under the missions menu isn't missions, but rather bot matches in very small arenas. 8 players to a side. And it's essentially like the kill confirmed mode from Call of Duty, where you've got to grab a pickup after you shoot the enemy to get the points.
Or the tutorial. The tutorial, when I played the tutorial, I don't know, I just felt like it lacks a flow. Like, it could have been a mini single-player, campaign experience in itself. And they kind of missed on that opportunity.
Apparently Criterion, the guys behind Burnout, worked on the speeder bike segment of the tutorial.
That kind of makes sense.
Which, makes sense, because that mission was fantastic. Those speeder bikes were amazingly fast, and you're just zipping between the trees. And, you have all these really close misses, and you go through the legs of an ATST, and it feels awesome.
But that's the thing, the core is very solid of the game. But there's just something off. It doesn't feel... personally, I had much more fun in the beta. I'm still not sure why. There are probably a number of reasons, starting with, the amount of content, because we were restricted. We probably were a bit more excited about that. But the full game is just a bit, lacking.
Well, the balance is off for one. You've got the T-21 blaster rifle, which is almost always a one-shot kill. The impact grenades, which are just plain bullshit. There's no other way to put that. They're bullshit.
The thermal imploder too is just you think you're safe, and then the shockwave just obliterates you and 7 dudes around you. It's
Yeah, but thermal implode, at least it's an additional pickup. It's not one of the unlocks that you get unlimited of.
Yeah, it just can ruin entire teams, and even on the smaller maps, a lot of the basic blaster pistols. I can't remember which one it is, but the basic blaster pistol is just far and away the best because it just sprays shots out and it's not heavy and bulky like the heavy blaster rifles.
That's actually something I noticed when playing things like the Droid Assault or the Team Deathmatch modes, was that the blaster pistols are far and away the best weapon just because they spray.
Yeah. Like the blaster rifles are good at like longer ranges if you're like good at controlling your fire and
Yeah, like the standard Rebel and Empire blasters are great at medium to long range, and they will serve you in close range, but if someone comes at you with like the rapid fire spray and pray blaster pistol, you're screwed. You just cannot get enough shots off in time because of that fire rate difference.
No matter how many headshots you get, it just doesn't. It just, yeah.
I mean, the game has a lot of varied weapons, like some of the slow firing weapons, powerful, the others are, just fast firing. But it just feels, I don't know, it just still lacks overall balance.
I appreciate the variety in the weapons, but it's the lack of balance. Again, going back to the T-21, because I can't stress how much I hate this bloody thing, is that thing takes 1, maybe 2 shots to kill someone, where the next most powerful rifle takes like 6 rounds minimum to put someone down. And when you go up against someone at any range and they've got a T-21, you're gonna lose.
And you have to see them, which actually kind of is another annoying thing on most of the map. I don't see the enemy.
Yeah, it's, I kept on like trying to spot since, I played far too much of Battlefield 4 for my own good, and it just like wasn't there. I was just like, how? It's like, this is the future, right? These guys have like blaster rifles, but they don't have like,
Just to appease the Star Wars fans that no doubt will be commenting on the YouTube video, that takes place in the past.
I suppose technically it takes place in the past, but it's like, these guys have all this technological development, they can't figure out how to, mark dudes on a heads-up display.
The big issue is they seem to have gone for making the maps really, really pretty. Like, Endor is absolutely beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Well, all the maps have like all their own character, and they're gorgeous, but...
You've got the walkways, you've got the Ewoks running in and out of their little huts, which is awesome. You actually see them running out and looking over the edges of the walkways to see what's going on below before they scamper back to safety.
I think they also throw rocks at the Imperial soldiers.
And then you've got like the big waterfall in there on the river and foliage everywhere, and that's the main issue, is there's crap everywhere.
Yeah, when you're sitting on the trees, it's quite hard to shoot anybody.
Look at the best maps of any multiplayer shooter. Look at Arad from Red Orchestra, Dust from Counter-Strike, Facing Worlds from Unreal. And they're all simple. There's no clutter. What detail is there is sparse. It's, contained like to the front of a building or to a group of boxes on the side. It's not the entire bloody map that's just cluttered with everything.
Yeah, and the map is designed in that way that it's almost an open field, just with a lot of things that cover your vision.
That's kind of why I like Walker Assault, because it puts those open fields into some kind of structure. It gives you a path to focus on. You can make flanking maneuvers instead of people just running off in every direction doing their own thing.
Yeah, and if you run into the open, AT-ST will just... AT-AT just will blast you away.
No, the AT-STs will get you as well. They're everywhere.
Yeah, but they can go into the bit more enclosed spaces as well.
They can also sprint, which is something I only found out yesterday, much to my surprise, which seems utterly ludicrous for a vehicle that's already that fast. It's not like they have to compete with tanks or... like the light speeder bikes on most of the maps.
That's another thing, I'd like the Rebels to have something to counter the Imperial armor as well.
I'd like to just see more variety in the land vehicles, because right now we've got speeder bikes and AT-STs, and that's it.
And like with the Rebels too, if you didn't bring an ion grenade or like the rocket launcher, you basically can't do anything against it, unless you happen to find a card that the Smart Rocket or whatever. But other than that, I mean, like, if there's an ATST, just putting around and you don't have anything to counter it, you're just gonna die over and over, and there's nothing you can do. I mean, you can damage it slowly, but...
Well, to be honest, it's not meant to be taken out by one person. It's supposed to be a team effort, but that's another problem. There's no team effort, and you feel like you're in shackles. Like, playing with friends is so problematic at the moment. We tried playing with Jay, and even though we were in one team, we actually tried to join that as a group. We were we got assigned different partners. At least this time around, they kind of mark your friends in green, so thank you guys for that. But, if we join together, I'd actually want to get paired with a friend.
Yeah, I don't understand why they did that, why they did the partner. I mean, like, it's, like, basically like squads from Battlefield 4, I mean, which worked fine in, like, squads of 4 or 5.
Speaking of squads, it's nonsensical that they did away with that mechanic. The squad mechanic works well because if you're playing with a group of friends, you can all get together in the same squad and all play together. But with partners, you're always paired off into twos. And
you won't always have, and sometimes you have the same partner in between rounds, and sometimes you don't, and you don't really have any idea of swapping partners or anything. Like, one of my partners went away, and I was just like, do I get a new one? Will I ever get another one? It's just like, no, I guess not. Alright, then I guess I lost, like, a forward spawn. It just doesn't seem thought out well at all. It's like, they didn't want to do the squad system because, I mean, it's not a modern military, squad setting, but I don't know. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
Another thing is, I'd like to be able to manage my friends and squads better. I really got used to the way Battlefield is doing that, and bizarrely, in this you can't. No, actually you can't select a proper loadout once you're in the game. Nor you can, tinker with your squad settings. Well, partner settings.
Yeah, there's just basic tools and functions that should be in a modern game. Especially one where you don't even have a server browser.
Yeah, it's a multiplayer only shooter, and they just don't have, like, all these things that, like, carried over and worked so well in Battlefield 3, 4, Hardline, like, Call of Duty. I haven't played the most recent one, but...
Those basic functions for managing your friends and playing with your friends are the only way to play with your friends, because there's no server browser. So those functions are more essential than ever, and they're completely missing.
I think that's a good description of the whole game. It's very basic. Like, it has a very solid core. The shooting mechanic is the shooting and other mechanics are really, really strong. It's gorgeous, but it's basic. It's very, very basic. Yeah, it's missing a lot of features that we got used to, over time. Like, Battlefield games became quite sophisticated and quite good in what they're doing. And this is just not it.
It's just not. Like, I don't know what DICE was working on. 'Cause, I mean, Battlefield 4 came out 2 years ago? 3 years ago? 2 years ago. And they did 2 DLC packs, and then they handed DLC off to DICE, the LA studio of DICE. So, what have they been working on? I mean, because they already had Frostbite, so they didn't have to develop a new engine. New environments, like 12 new maps. Technically 4 environments, but 12 maps, technically.
Well, and those maps are brilliant, and they look just great. I mean, they're really photorealistic, but... the gameplay is where the meat's at.
And there's not a whole lot of meat there.
Speaking of the amount of content, I think we'd be remiss to not mention all the stuff that was in previous Battlefront games and isn't in this one. Such as space combat, which has been turned into dogfight mode from Battlefield 1943.
Which is just garbage.
It's just a clusterfuck in the center of the map, and that's it.
Yeah, the starfighters just control just so terribly.
Just don't get me started on the flying vehicles. They screwed the controls so bad. That literally made me rage.
You could have taken the jet model from Battlefield 4. I mean, like, they didn't fly like actual jets, but I mean, it was fun to fly them, even if you're not very good at them.
Simon and I, the first time we played co-op, were actually in the flight tutorial, and Simon was getting so angry at the crappy controls.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the way it handled in beta. It was, I don't know, it was really, again, basic, but it did what it was supposed to do. It handled it was casual.
It meant that anybody could pick up and play the game, though. Like, everybody was on a level playing field because there was no controls getting between you and what you wanted to do.
And I see, when, like, the best players, on YouTube, they're actually struggling with that as well. And if you want to handicap the good pilots, I guess it's a decent way to do that, but it's just infuriating so many people.
Also missing from previous Battlefront games are, we've already mentioned ground vehicles, squads, but other classes, like, what about droids?
Yeah, the classes, the factions. How many factions were there in the first two games?
Yeah, like the Trade Federation, I think the Hutts had a faction in...
There's the Rebel Army, there's the Confederates, there's the Clone Army, the Pre-Imperial Army, there's like... I've only played the first game, but I mean, like...
I guess they're keeping that for a DLC?
I hope not. I am gonna be so angry if they just keep everything from the season pass.
How much fun was it to just roll up in the droid acre and just unroll and just spray down a corridor with your awesome machine gun? And
everything killed. I don't know, like I said, I'm only talking about Battlefront 1, but I played a lot of Galactic Conquest against bots because trying to play online a 56k modem was not a good idea.
Galactic Conquest really made Battlefront kind of a single-player experience as well, even without a story mode. Like, if that was just completely gone, and you just had bot matches in Galactic Conquest, that'd be fine. Like, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, I don't know. Where did it go? Nobody knows. I don't think DICE knows where it went. I don't think they have any idea where it went.
The thing is, I think the game wasn't designed as a sequel. Well, it's a reboot. And they actually ditched a lot of things that they learned from the previous games, and that was done properly on the prequels. And that's really a bummer.
Kind of reminds me a lot of Medal of Honor, actually, now that you mention it. It's like, let's take everything that made Medal of Honor good and not use it, and let's just make an okay game. And that's kind of how I see Battlefront.
Yeah, it seems like the perfect time to just come out and say it's crap.
Well, I wouldn't say it's crap.
It's not offensively bad.
It's just lacking. It's very lacking, and it might be, the community might be at fault with that, because I played with low scoring and high scoring players, but I don't know, it's still it might be a game's fault because, of matchmaking, but I liked it and I hate it at the same time, so it's good and it's lacking.
Yeah, I think it's infuriating they're asking for $60 for the base game and then $110 if you buy the season pass. God forbid. The core game is fun. That's undeniable. It's a very fun game, and it's very approachable. I just think it's just insulting to ask $60 for basically a quarter of a game.
I think one of the season pass, the DLCs should be just solely focused on either single player or co-op. Just expand on it. Just do more, just make more complicated levels, not the simple bot arenas. Just do they should just take tutorial levels and expand on them, because all of them have a kind of a little backstory, and you could just go through it all.
So I'm going to say something I seem to say a lot about modern sequels, is that features should not be taken out unless they didn't work. You don't make the third game in a series and rip out, 70-80% of the features that made it good to start with. And that's my main problem with it, apart from the balance, is that like you've already said, Kyle, you get a quarter of a game.
I mean, the quarter of the game is great, and it looks fun, and it looks amazing, and it's a lot of fun. But it's a great demo, but they shouldn't have to pay for it.
That's it, though. It's just the core of the game that's good, though. You know, that's like getting a foot long, and you've got the excellent meat in the middle, but the bread's shit.
Or you get a sandwich and it's just meat in the sandwich. There's just turkey in the sandwich and there's nothing else.
It's just meat between two turds. That's what Battlefront is right now. Yeah, I can't recommend this game.
No, I can't recommend buying this game for full price. If by some magical property you happen to get it for like $20, sure, buy it. I would for $20. That's a great game for $20. Don't buy it for $60.
Track the Jedi Skywalker near your location. Take the Jedi down.
Rebel sighted. Rebel bombers have locked onto our AT-AT. Be on the lookout for the smuggler Han Solo. It has been spotted nearby.
Easy man. Job's a job. Got you lined up. See what you do. Long as the credits are good. Got a price on your head. Got something for you. Orders are to finish you off.